Hi guys, in our previous video we talked about if statement and how we can be able to create an if statement in C++. So in this video we are going to be talking about different kind of comparison and equality operators. So when it comes to creating an if statement, whenever we want to write an if statement in our program, so these operators, they are very essential. So they allow us to test our variables, so to compare two or more variables to see or to find out whether they are true or false. So how we can be able to use these operators, you can see we have declared two variables here and we assign them some values, and basically the first variable, which is test1, is holding the value 5, and the second variable, which is test2, is holding the value 6. So now and then whenever we want to perform our test, that is when we are going to be using these operators or these functions. So now, the first operator that we are having is what we call the equality sign, which is equal sign. So whenever you want to compare to see whether one variable is equal to another variable, that is when you are going to use this sign. So this we are basically telling our program or our compiler that is this variable equal to this variable, which is in this case test1, is it equal to test2, and test1, as you can see here, is holding the number 5 and test2 is holding the number 6. So in this case 5 is not equal to 6, and our statement is false, so we should be getting false as our output. So I'm going to compile my program and then I'm going to run my application. So as you can see, we got false. So that is it. So and then the next kind of operators, the next type of operator that we are going to maybe be using whenever we are comparing our variables is what we call the not equal sign. So we use the exclamation sign and then the equal sign. So this is known as the equal not equal sign. So in this case we are testing to see whether this variable is not equal to this, which is in this case is true, because variable text1 is holding the value 5 and text2 is holding the value 6, and then 5 is not equal 6. So this statement is completely true. So I'm going to save it and I'm going to compile it. So I'm going to run my application. So we should be getting true because the statement is true, as you can see. So the next type of operator that we are having is the less than sign. So whenever we want to test to see whether one variable is less than another variable, whenever you are comparing to see whether one variable is less than another variable, that is when you are going to use this sign. So here we are comparing to see whether test1, which is a variable that is holding the value 5, is greater than test2, which is a variable that is holding the number 6. So in this case variable variable test1 is less than variable test2. So as you can see, so we should be getting true because 5 is less than 6. So if I compile my program, so I'm going to go ahead and run my application. So as you can see, we got through because 5 is less than 6. So and that is it. So the next type of operator that we have is what we call the greater than sign. So in a situation whereby you want to compare two values to find out whether the first value or one value is greater than another value, so that is when you are going to consider using this sign. So basically here we are comparing to see whether test1, which is holding the value 5, and is it greater than test2, which is holding the value 6. Basically we are comparing to see whether 5 is greater than 6, which is completely false. So we should be getting false as our output because 5 is not greater than 6. So I'm just going to compile my program, and then I will run my application. So as you can see, we got false because the statement is false. So the next type of operator that we are having is what we call the less than or equal sign. So in this case, whenever you want to compare to see whether a particular variable is less than or equal to some value or another variable, so that is when you are going to consider using this operator. So in this case, we are comparing to see whether 5 is it less than 6 or is it equal to 6. So 5, we know that 5 is not equal to 6, but 5 is equal to uh, 5 is less than 6, so we should be getting 3. So whenever, let's assume maybe for example, test 1 is holding the value 6 and test 2 is holding the same value 6. So whenever we are using this, we should be getting 3 because 6 is equal to 6, or in this case where 5 is equal to 5, 5 is equal to sorry, 5 is less than 6. So you see test 1 is greater than sorry, less than test 2, which is 5 is less than 6. So I should be getting true because this condition is true, but the other one is false. But here we are looking for a match. Our statement is going to be true if one of these sign is true. So I don't know whether you get the point. So that is how we perform a test using this operator. So I'm going to go ahead and save my application, and then I'm going to go ahead and compile my application, and I'm going to go ahead and run my application. So as you can see, we got through because 5 is less than 6. So that is it. So and then the last operator that we are having is what we call the greater than and greater than or equal to. So in this case, we are comparing to see whether one variable is equal to or is greater than another variable. In this case, we are comparing to see test 1, which is holding the value 5. Is it greater than or is it equal to 5? We know that test 1 is not equal to test 2 because 5 is not equal to 6, but test 1 is not greater than test 2 again because 5 is not greater than test 2. So this statement is completely false. So if I save my application and compile my application, let me save it and let me compile it. So I should be getting false. So I will run my application. So this is the result. I'm getting false, which is not true. So in this case, so these are the 6 kind of equality and comparison operators that we can be able to work with whenever we are using if statement. And uh, thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video.